Ah, yes. What's that noise? What the fuck? Hello again. Welcome back to Factorio, featuring the one and only... Yes, that's right, Velvet. The man. The myth. The engineer who once spent 30 minutes figuring out what he needed for green science. The strategic genius. A legend in his own mind. Back again. Wiser, stronger, more likely to actually finish the base this time. Remember him from the last video? No? Go and watch it. Seriously. So here's what you missed in the last video. I forced Velvet to buy Factorio. You better buy Factorio right now. We played Factorio. We started an all-out war on biters over oil. Our factory got confusing. We rage quit. And we let the save gather dust. But now, we're back for redemption. And this time, no amount of spaghetti will stand in our way. So strap in, like this guy, because we aren't leaving until that rocket gets launched. No, seriously. Strap in. And just like that, we said goodbye to our reality and embraced the warmth of our Factorio-fueled addiction once again. We didn't just fall back into Factorio, we relapsed hard. But this time, we knew what we was doing, and it all began with the most monotonous part of any playthrough. Hand mining ore. After a while of gathering what we needed to get the factory started, we finally got our first drills and furnaces up and running. And while Velvet was taking care of the factory, I decided it was time to pay a visit to the locals. I hunted down a few biter nests and wiped them out. Was it necessary? Absolutely not. But a message had to be sent to the natives. We're back. After a few hours, the starter factory was starting to take shape. We had red and green science automated to some degree, but reality called. We had work the next day, and we'd already stayed up far too late. But just because we logged off doesn't mean the factory logged off from us. We returned to real life and the addiction hit hard. WhatsApp blew up with strategy diagrams, blueprints and unhinged ideas. Velvet was begging me to turn the game back on, even though I wasn't around. He needed it. He craved to grow the factory. As for me, well, my reality now belonged to the factory. The only thing that mattered was drawing diagrams, layouts and planning the growth of our beloved factory. And nothing, not even reality itself, was going to get in the way. We only existed to serve one purpose now. Expansion. And so that's exactly what we did. We immediately began serving our one true purpose, expanding the factory. And the factory grew. Bit by bit, belt by belt, hour by hour. We poured our blood, sweat and sanity into the factory. Every free moment outside of our real jobs went into growing it. Velvet focused on creating a main bus for the factory, whilst I made sure the science pack kept flowing. Biters started to retaliate after my earlier massacre, so whilst we worked on the expansion, we also waged war on the locals by destroying any nests that gave us grief. And then we built defences around the factory to keep the biters out. We automated military science, and then set our sights on the next big goal, blue science. If we could eventually build a bot network, that would mean we'd officially gotten further than our last attempt. But this took longer than expected. Days turned into weeks, which is why this video took so long to come out, by the way. Sorry about that. And the expansion burnt us out. We lost motivation, went a little insane, and we may have shot each other a few times. But after everything, we had a factory. A working, breathing, fully operational factory with rail networks, outposts and production lines. But at this point though, Velvet still hadn't completed his main bus. But it worked. Sort of. The factory ended up splitting into 3 distinct zones. On the left side of the factory was Velvet's precious main bus project, and in the middle section was our shared starter base, the toolbox zone. And on the right side, the spaghettified nightmare I called home. Velvet got so laser focused on building the main bus that science started to fall behind, so it fell to me to keep the research moving and completing the goal of eventually getting a bot network up and running. So whilst Velvet crafted his masterpiece, I kept chaos functional and started to work towards getting blue science automated. And this was about the time I realised the difference between me and the electrical engineer Velvet. Although he neglected researching and prioritising science, his slow yet methodical way of building the factory was something to be admired. Up until this point, we had spent about 20 hours just building the factory. But even though 20 hours is a hell of a long time, there still wasn't any sign of a bot network. But that, ladies and gentlemen, was all about to change. It was finally time to focus on getting a bot network up and running, so we could finally say we have officially got further than our previous attempt at launching the rocket. I dragged Velvet away from his main bus project and we started working on setting up and automating construction bots and logistic bots. We didn't care about making it look neat and tidy, we just wanted it done. So please, for the love of God, do not judge the spaghetti too harshly. After a while, we had robot frames and bots automated. But before we could even place our very first RoboPort, this happened.
No for fuck's sake, not now.
The fuck is that?
Oh,
It's your stone mine? So, me and Velvet went to have a little talk with the buyers. After the buyers were taken care of, we finally placed our first roboport. I spent about 15 minutes showing Velvet what the robots were capable of, and then Velvet went to bed for the night. I decided to stay on just a little longer and craft about 60 roboports, and I set up the logistics system before logging off myself. So there you have it. Me and Velvet had officially surpassed our last attempt. We finally pushed through and made more progress than ever before. Looking back at our builds, I do think we actually learned a few things this time. Yes, there was still spaghetti, but it felt cleaner, like it had a purpose, a sort of chaotic order. We've still got a lot to learn, but compared to the last video, the progress, the determination, it's all there. Or maybe I'm just chatting out my arse. But either way, this story isn't over just yet. We completed our task of getting a bot network up and running, but there was still one last goal we had to achieve. To get off this godforsaken planet, and to achieve that, we needed to automate the last two science packs, purple and yellow. But before we even had a chance to start, we had a problem. The entire factory ran out of power, everything ground to a halt. Me and Velvet were in a bit of a pickle.
my brain does not function anymore. I don't know. I run on electricity blunts.
I know. That's why I fucking warned you about it.
There must be some code somewhere. But why would you not make an overflow of solid fuel?
Because I didn't need to.
You always need stuff, Bunce. Factorio 101. Oh my god. I literally just hooked up the thing. I'm always saying it's a can ahead.
Oh no, that's not enough coal.
No, it's not.
I was just gonna say there's some on the belt, but it won't be enough. It's weird though, because fucking at the moment we have no fuel, we have no power, but to get the power back on, we need to use more power. So I've got like 10 chemistry labs fucking almost ready to cook up at the moment.
Help me out, Lance.
Have you seen what I'm making? I'm trying to give you the power.
I don't give a fuck.
Wow, okay, fuck your power then. No, fuck you. Going back to doing what I was doing. It was safe to say, me and Velvet were stressed out to the max. Trying to get our power crisis under control broke us. And every time we came close to fixing it, the power would just drain again, instantly. The situation was critical. Our factory was dead in the water, and everything came to a halt. The drill stopped working, the bot network went silent, it all shut down. Eventually, Velvet managed to scrounge together enough coal from random chests we'd left scattered around the base to grant us a tiny spark of power. And for a brief moment, my chem labs kicked on and started producing solid fuel. But it didn't last, and the power cut out yet again. We was back to square one. Oh, we're running out of fuel again.
The panic. The panic. Ah? What are you doing?
Why is the fucking oh, Velvet.
Yeah. You got popped.
Only because I've just hand fed it again.
Yeah, we got power.
Eventually, we sorted our power crisis out, and me and Velvet got back to work. My next objective? Gather more ores and start working on purple and yellow science. My plan was simple. First, build a hand-fed system to get enough science for one of the key things on the tech tree. Logistics system. Once I unlocked that, I could ditch the spaghetti and let the requester chest do the heavy lifting. So I set up a basic production line for both science packs, hand-fed all the components into a chest, and let the labs do their thing. By this point, me and Velvet had automated just about everything important in the game. It was just a matter of requesting the parts from the network, grabbing them from my inventory, and loading them into the chest manually. The finish line was in sight. We could see it, glimmering on the metaphorical horizon. All that was left now was to wait for the final researches to complete, but that was going to take a while. So during that time, we actually had fun with the factory. We expanded it a bit, stockpiled ores, did some cleanup, and the whole base was popping. We'd been building this factory for literal weeks now. It even got to the point where biters didn't even faze us. We just let them attack our walls, watch the turrets kill the biters, and our bots repair the walls. It felt like nothing could stop us now. Well, except for one thing. One night, Velvet said he was tired and told me to shut down the game so we could get some sleep. So I did. No big deal, right? I figured he'd be back on the next night, and we'd finally finish what we started. Well, viewers, if you've made it this far into the video, this wasn't the case. You might be thinking, it was just 2 or 3 days, right? Well, no. It was like Velvet got swallowed back into the void most of you call reality, and it wasn't going to spit him out anytime soon. The days turned into weeks, and the factory stood still, frozen in time. Nothing grew, and nothing changed. And in that silence, it became something else. The factory became a monument of how far we'd come, but also a reminder of a goal left unfinished, a symbol of progress and of failure. But I made a promise to Velvet that I wouldn't touch the save unless he was there with me. So I just sat there, gathering dust. And for a while I really thought I'd have to scrap this video entirely. That we'd failed. That I'd failed to get Velvet off Narvis. I reached out to Velvet a few times, hoping for a sign, but every time I was met with the same message. Sorry, I'm busy. That was until one night, the unbelievable happened. Out of nowhere, after weeks of radio silence, Velvet logged back in. No warning, no build-up, just a casual, alright, shall we finish this? And in that moment, ladies and gentlemen, time snapped back into place. The factory roared back to life. Machines whirred, belts began to move again, and the bot network awakened like a swarm rising from hibernation. The final chapter was upon us. After everything, we were back. And this time, we wasn't logging off until we launched that rocket. We both agreed it was time to rush the final research and get off this godforsaken planet. And so we waited, patiently, focused, and determined. While the labs worked, we got everything else online. Everything automated, everything precise. We were the most efficient we had ever been. Every piece planned, every move timed to perfection. Weeks of hard work, all building up to this one moment. We were nearing the end of this roller coaster of a journey, and all that stood in our way was the final few lines of research. 69. Once it finished, we didn't hesitate. The launch pad went down, the requester chests were placed, and the bots sprang into action. The rocket began to build. We crafted the satellite, and that was the final piece. We placed it into the rocket, and then all we had to do was wait. In that silence, we took a moment to look back. Every setback, every laugh, every single piece of spaghetti we laid down in panic, from the first miner to the last assembler. This was ours. A journey of trial, of chaos, of growth, and now we had one last thing to do. All the time, all the dedication, every single late night came down to this very moment. 2 videos, over 100 hours of gameplay, and finally, Velvet launched the rocket. We escaped the claws of Narvis and everything that lay waiting on the surface. It was finally over. I'm sorry this video took so long to come out, but I really hope it was worth the wait. Thank you to everyone who subscribed, left a comment, or just enjoyed the ride. It means more than you'll ever know. But until next time, goodbye.